Hello again and welcome. If you're thinking about what you could do to save a lot of money on your air conditioning bill in the summertime, but maybe you don't want to spend a lot of money, the best possible thing you can do is come up with a way to shade your windows to keep direct sunlight from hitting your windows. So here's a picture of a window shade I built for my house. And you could see that the purpose of this is just to keep the sun from hitting this exterior window. And I just made this from pressure treated pine lumber from Home Depot, and I stained it black. And this is what the house looked like before I put the window shade. It's this upper floor window. I also painted the trim when I put the shade on, so it looks a little bit different. But if you look at the line of where the sun is hitting the house, you can see that there's a lot of direct sunlight hitting that window, and that is heating up the window. Most of the heat that gets into your house in the summertime is coming through the windows themselves or the trim on the windows. So essentially, every house, acts a little bit like a greenhouse, in the sense that wherever the sun is coming through. Let's say we have a little window maybe here. All right, so that's meant to be a window. We've got the sun, lights coming through, heating up things inside the house, and all of the heat isn't allowed to escape, just like an actual greenhouse, and that warms things up. So if you're paying to heat that house, it's going to be more expensive. You can just simply shade those windows, and that's going to save you a ton of money. Not only that, if the power ever goes out, then your window shades will still work. So what I did was essentially built 3 sort of brackets, and I just wanted some horizontal plate to come out here and block some of the sun's rays from hitting this window. And this is going to be the sort of the biggest deal on your windows that get the most sunlight. So if you live in the northern hemisphere like me, these are going to be the windows that face south. If you live in the southern hemisphere, it will be the windows that face north. But you could just go outside your house and see what the windows look like during different points in the day, and see which windows are getting hit by the sun. And those are the windows that you want to shade. Now, you still get a lot of light in your house with this setup, because there are all sorts of other, things in the environment, like trees or whatever, that are, sunlight is hitting them as well. And some of that light will bounce and still go through the window. So you'll still get plenty of light in the house. This will stop any glare that is a problem on a window. But you'll still get this indirect light. So plenty of natural light will still get into your house. Also, in the wintertime, you may want some of this sunlight hitting your window. But luckily, in the winter, the sun tends to be lower in the sky. So if you build a shade like this, in the winter, you're still going to get some direct light hitting that window and coming through. So this will not only help lower your air conditioning bill, but it's going to lower energy costs. If everybody did this collectively, it would also help the global warming problem. If we want to make the earth hotter, we could, recover the surface of the earth entirely with greenhouses. That would certainly make it hotter. And that's a little bit of what we're doing if our houses act like greenhouses. Also, not just our houses can act like greenhouses, but if you've ever gotten into a hot car in the summertime, then you know that a car is also a greenhouse. A car has, windows, of course, and if we leave that car out in the sunlight, it's going to get very hot. In order to, deal with this problem, it would be nice if we could find some way to vent our cars or some way to shade a lot more of the parking lots. Every car on the surface of the earth that's sitting out in the sun is a greenhouse and is contributing to making the earth warmer unnecessarily. So if you want a little more information on how I built that bracket, basically I just set out to make 3 pieces that look like this. I attached those to the wall first. And so on my bracket, I started with sort of maybe a flat piece like this, because I wanted something to attach, very firmly to the wall. And then I have a piece sort of coming out like this, and a brace for that. It kind of goes like this. And then I put another board on the top here. And part of the reason I did that is just so when I attach this to the wall, I could be underneath with my screw gun, and then I just laid those boards that went horizontal and screwed up into them. I have my brackets attached to the wall with like very big bolts that go into a stud in the wall. And then the boards that go across the top are just 1x4, so they're kind of light boards anyway, and I just have them attached with a couple screws. This is a little bit like you're making something that's a little bit like a sail, and you don't want it to rip the side of your house off in high winds. If there's a point of failure, I wanted it to be these small 1x4s that would individually fly off. And I'll just show you a few other views of that window shade again from some different angles. So here's another view. And you can see it here again. When I was attaching these brackets, I used screws, and then I also used wood glue to make the triangular pieces very sturdy. So I think it ended up, looking good as well. I decided to stain it black. It probably would have looked even better if I came behind and spray painted these screw heads black also. And the trim that used to be white is now painted a dark blue. You can just get away with a lot design-wise if you make everything dark colors like this on this sort of exterior portion. Anyway, I hope you found something in this video helpful, and think about shading your windows if your AC bill is high. It's cheap. I expect this to last, 15, 20 years. And I think I built it for around, under $300. This would be a great business idea too. I see houses everywhere I go that have windows just sitting out, baking, exposed to direct sunlight. And, you could sell this to somebody for a lot more than $300, and it would be great value still. Anyway, I'll see you next time.